Hey, this is Warren Redlick. Thank you so much for watching. Wanted to talk about I had this conversation with a friend yesterday, and I really kind of went nuts. Ranted to him, and I wanted to convey that rant to people who are watching. So thank you so much for watching. Right now, only a couple of people watching. Hopefully, the audience will grow. I just did something similar on the X platform, and I maybe it got up to like 20 people watching one time. Usually, when I live stream here on YouTube, I get hundreds of people watching. So I wanted to try this a different way. I don't know, maybe there's some reason why why we're not getting a big audience today. We'll see. So here's what I see. What I see is that some politicians support Elon, some people support Elon. There's this growing trend. I don't know if it's a growing trend. There's this trend of people just bashing Elon. There's just like a stream of hate for Elon that is growing from the media and from the government. And it's time for that to end. It's time. We need. It's not Scott Manley. We need to recognize something about Elon. Plain and simple, I'm an Elon Musk fanboy. I've been an Elon Musk fanboy since at least late 2015 when SpaceX landed the first orbital rocket booster. If you don't understand how special it is to land an orbital rocket booster, then you don't understand science and engineering. This was one of the greatest feats of engineering that humanity has ever witnessed. And SpaceX not only went on to continue landing rocket boosters, they started relaunching them, and they now have two separate boosters that have been launched 17 times. This is a game changer for the cost of access to space. If the booster costs $50 million and use it once, and then it's $50 million for one launch. If you use it 20 times, then it's only $2.5 million for the cost of that booster per launch, and you've dramatically lowered the cost of access to space. The next step is Starship, getting Starship to be reused. Now you're reusing the second stage as well, and you're getting to the point where the cost of the launch is just the propellant, which dramatically lowers the cost of access to space. You go back before SpaceX, and it was about $10,000 a kilogram to launch a payload into low Earth orbit. Falcon 9 has lowered that cost to maybe $1,000 a kilogram, maybe less. And Starship is going to lower that cost to maybe $20 a kilogram. It's going to cost less to send a kilogram into orbit than it will be to send a kilogram from Los Angeles to New York. At least what it currently costs to send a kilogram from Los Angeles to New York. It is a game changer. Hi to Booster. So, when we're looking at the potential for the future, what I see with Elon Musk is he has lowered the cost of access to space. He has expanded broadband access to places that couldn't get broadband access before. So the internet is spreading around the world to all kinds of places that couldn't have internet access before. Thunder, Cougar, Falcon, Rocket. Okay. When you see the spread of internet everywhere, you've made a game changer. You're going to be able to access, if you fly JSX right now, it's a small airline. They have, Starlink on planes right now. You're starting to see Starlink spread to airplanes, and you'll have good high-speed internet while you're on a plane. You have good widespread high-speed internet on cruise ships now. People on yachts have it, but not just wealthy people and people who can afford to fly, but people who live in rural areas and didn't have good internet access before. Now they're going to have better internet access. That's just one of many things that Elon is doing. And we couldn't fly to space without needing Vladimir Putin's rockets before Elon came along with SpaceX. This has freed us up. We no longer have to depend on Vladimir Putin to launch payloads into space. But, what do we see from politicians? Joe Biden keeps bashing Elon. Now we've got the federal government investigating Elon 6 ways from Sunday. There's this endless stream of attacks on Elon. And this is the thing, do you want life to get better on Earth for humanity? And do you want humanity to be able to expand to the stars? Both. Do you want either one of those things? Because the Boring Company, Neuralink, SpaceX, and Tesla are all making life better for people on Earth. Like, really, full stop, no question about it. Tesla, the vehicles don't emit pollution. And even to the extent that they're using to some blend of energy, that some of which is generated by fossil fuels, there's a lot less pollution associated with an electric vehicle, with a Tesla electric vehicle at least, than a comparable gasoline vehicle, or even the Tesla Model X Plaid is more efficient when it comes to energy than the Honda Civic. I'm just using the Honda Civic as an example, gasoline Honda Civic. It's crazy how much better they are for the environment and how much better they are, much more fun they are to drive. There's so many advantages, and they're safer. So Tesla is making the road safer. The Tesla cars are the safest cars on the road. And as we get FSD deployed, it's still going to take some time. But when FSD finally takes hold and autonomous vehicles start driving more safer than human, we're going to reduce traffic accidents. The Boring Company is this big game changer that it's an underground story. Like literally people don't see what's coming with the Boring Company. If politicians get out of the way and allow Boring Company to spread, what you're talking about is eliminating or massively reducing pedestrian traffic accidents because there's no pedestrians crossing the road in a tunnel, right? So that all of a sudden, these incidents where a car hits pedestrian, that gets dramatically lower. And the only places where you're really going to see pedestrians in the tunnel system is in the stations where the vehicles only go about 5 miles an hour. So any collision that there might be with a pedestrian will be at very low speed. So there's so many advantages to, and then there's no noise pollution. I have a highway right outside my window. The noise pollution from above ground cars is a problem. It's a small problem, but it's a problem that actually exists. If you spread it out over all the people that are affected by noise pollution, it's meaningful. In Boring Company tunnels, there's no noise pollution because the noise is underground. And there's no air pollution caused by these systems, and they're safe. The safety. So there's so many game change, and it's going to reduce the cost of transportation. You imagine you fly into an airport. You're going to see this in Las Vegas soon. You fly into McCarran Airport in Las Vegas, and you take a Boring Company tunnel to your hotel, and all of a sudden your trip from the airport to your hotel got cheaper, faster, and safer. More convenient. Like, this is going to be amazing. And we're really close to having this happen at a large scale. And the one thing that gets in the way is politicians. Local politicians get in the way of local projects. State level politicians get in the way at the state level. And right now we have a president who's declared war essentially on Elon Musk. Neuralink is focusing on trying to help paralyzed people regain movement, help paralyzed people be able to communicate better, long-term solving brain disease problems and giving us all better access to the internet. Faster access to the internet straight from our brains. It's an absolutely game-changing improvement in life for humanity. And for some reason, and I think the reason fundamentally is, here's what most politicians are focused on. They are focused on short-term gains, short-term winning their next election, short-term helping their own family, getting themselves benefits, right? A large number of politicians in Congress seem to have really good investing strategies because insider trading is legal for Congress. I don't know if you knew that. They're focused on their own gains, they're focused on benefits for their families, and they're focused on the special interests that fund them. They are not interested in the long-term future of humanity. They're not interested in the interests of Americans. And a bit of a tangent here, and this is something that angers a lot of people when I talk about this. Look, I know a lot of people are concerned about China and Russia. And I'm not saying the people who run China and Russia are wonderful people. I don't think the people who run America are wonderful people. I think there's bad people running all the countries. I think government is fundamentally bad. You can argue whether it's necessary, but in all these countries, and basically every country on earth, with maybe an occasional exception, government has massively outgrown what is needed, if you believe there's any need, and gone to doing things that are not needed and are wasteful and massively inefficient, in particular wars. And anybody who says, oh, anarchy is terrible, yeah, well, governments killed over almost 300 million people in the 20th century. And you think anarchists are bad? So when you're looking at the potential for the future, what do you think Elon can deliver for our future? And I'm such a fanboy. I am such a believer in Elon that I would step in front of a bullet for Elon because I believe he's doing more for the future of my children than I can do. The changes that he is making in our world for the positive are going to do more for my children than anything. I'm trying to do stuff to make money and be able to help provide for my children and all that. But the reality is I'm only going to accomplish so much. And I've already sort of accomplished, at 57, I'm still trying to accomplish more. But if you were looking from the outside, yeah, Warren, you're not going to get that much more done. Well, Elon's getting a lot more done. And I'm trying. I'm not giving up yet. But when you look at that, so I'm a massive believer in Elon, and the idea that these politicians keep getting in his way just bugs me. It just really bugs. And when you see something like right now, there's this thing where the federal government is investigating Elon's companies 8 Ways from Sunday. They're investigating monkey deaths at Neuralink. Do you eat meat? What are we talking about here? They're investigating whether SpaceX rockets are, the rockets in southern Texas are a problem. Starship is a game changer for humanity. It's a game changer for the U.S. government. For the military wants Starship flying. There are a variety of government agencies that want Starship flying because it's going to enable them to accomplish more. So why is the Fish and Wildlife Service getting in the way and putting like a 4-month stall on the launch of Starship? 4 months plus. What are the FAA and the Fish and Wildlife Service doing? Let's get this going. We want access to space to be lower cost. We want to see Starlink spread much broader. We want to see humanity going to moon. We want to see humanity going to Mars. We want to see space exploration. We want to understand the universe better. When you look at Tesla, what Tesla is doing is, and I'm a Tesla shareholder. I'm pretty much an all-in Tesla shareholder. I'm massively biased when it comes to Tesla from a financial perspective. The cars are cleaner. The cars are safer. Full self-driving is a game changer for humanity in so many different ways. And we see so many voices attacking Tesla. Like, look, you can disagree with their approach. You're an idiot if you do, but you can disagree with it. But why are you getting in the way? You know, what are you doing? Why are you getting in the way of this? And we can see this, by the way. I just did an interview with Steve Ikeda about Tesla coming to Japan. And why isn't Tesla more successful in Japan? I think there's a few reasons, but fundamentally, and I talked to somebody else about South Korea, Japan and South Korea, the economies, the large car companies play a substantial role in the economy of Japan and the economy of South Korea. Toyota and others in Japan, Kia, Hyundai in South Korea. The idea that Tesla might be able to penetrate those markets is terrifying to those companies, and so they have influence over their governments. Robotaxi might be a threat to the taxi lobby in a country, and they might resist robotaxis. We saw this with Uber. Uber reduces drunk driving. Studies were clear that the existence of Uber, when Uber enters a city, drunk driving goes down. And yet local politicians resisted Uber. Why? Because they were more interested in the money coming from their taxi buddies, from the money coming from taxis, than they were in making transportation more convenient for their constituents and making the roads safer. You believe that politicians are actually interested in the welfare of their constituents? Just ask yourself the question, why did they resist Uber? Why do local politicians resist Airbnb? Airbnb makes travel easier. It makes it easier for homeowners to rent out their homes and earn some extra money from their homes. It makes it easier for travelers to get access to places to live. And yet politicians resist Airbnb. Why? Because the hotel industry is paying them money. There's no other really good reason for it. Jeff Krupke says, just about all people hate Elon for different reasons. I don't understand. I love him and think he's a great man. Well, so the media has been bashing Elon over X. And this is another thing. Like, Elon's takeover of Twitter, which is now X, enhances free speech. There was a crackdown on free speech on the mainstream media and on Twitter and other social media platforms, and Elon opened up speech. There's already some effort at opening up speech on Rumble, on Locals, on Substack, but Elon really cracked that open with X to a much larger audience and made speech free again. And they hate that because they want to control speech. This thing that just happened in Canada with Trudeau and the Canadian Parliament and Trudeau saluting a Nazi, an actual Nazi soldier, and they're celebrating this guy as a hero. He was a Nazi soldier. And they're attacking other people saying you're Nazis. No, you just applauded a Nazi. And then Trudeau somehow blaming Russian disinformation for his celebration of a Nazi. This stuff, it's gone crazy. And, George Orwell has been moved from fiction to current events, right? I mean, it's absolutely nuts what we're seeing. The extent to which politicians are waging war on Elon. Now, it's not all politicians. We just had the president of Hungary come visit Elon. It's obvious that some politicians get it and they see the value of what Elon is doing, or they just want Elon to locate a factory in their country, so they play nice with him in the hopes that he's going to do that. Custom digital senators. I'm just looking at the chat now. Elon isn't obedient to their rules. Yeah, I mean, Elon contributed to exposing their lies and their behavior. Free speech exposes politicians who are lying and corrupt. That's the fundamental danger of free speech, is to politicians who want unlimited power. Free speech is a check on their power. If we can see the bad things that they are doing, then we can criticize them for that, and that hurts their power. And so X opening up affects them. Jeff Krupke says, I think X Twitter is much better and really cracked down on child sex abuse, and he gets no praise. He's gotten a little bit of praise, but not enough. Pass the popcorn. Thanks, Jim Whitehead. I want to thank the moderators, by the way. I see Jim Whitehead and Mark Potocnik in the chat, and they are moderators. Thank you for moderating the chat. I think the chat has gotten pretty good. Somebody brings up UBI. I'm not a fan of UBI. That's a conversation for another day. I'll disagree with Elon occasionally, right? I think universal basic income. I don't think that's a good plan. I think that's communism. I just posted a video on X, short video, just a clip of Vinod Khosla. He's talking about how, that we're seeing the growth of AI, and he wants to see AI develop in countries that subscribe to Western values. I'm like, well, does the United States and Canada really subscribe to Western values anymore? At least the government leaders, Trudeau and Biden, seem to be anti-capitalism. They seem to be anti-free speech. They don't believe that men are men. Like, is men being men and women being women a Western value, or is that not a Western value anymore? Because China believes men are men and women are women, and China is, honestly, I believe China is more pro-capitalism. The Chinese government is more pro-capitalism than the Biden administration. I don't think there's any question about that. If you look at how quickly the Giga Shanghai was built and how quickly it became productive and how productive it has become, that happened with the support of the Chinese government. You look at when someone in America tries to build a factory, when someone in Canada tries to build a factory, when somebody tries to build something in Europe, look at what happened in Berlin, how long it took to get Giga Berlin going. Even Texas, which is generally favorable, it still takes a while to get things done. Things happened faster in Shanghai because the Chinese government is more pro-capitalism than the US government and state governments in America. And that's hard for people to accept, but it's a reality. I'm not saying I think the Chinese government is wonderful. I'm not saying they're not corrupt. I think the Chinese government figured out, Deng Xiaoping figured out, if we're going to steal from our people, we could steal a lot more if our people had more money. So they let capitalism flourish so that the CCP leaders can steal more money from they can, get more money from corruption from their people when their people have more money. Well, it seems like the American government has forgotten that. Like, if we stop the American economy from growing, then there's less money to steal from the American economy. Like, let's see some economic growth here. And Elon Musk is a spur to economic growth. And AI is a spur to economic growth. A lot of changes that we're seeing are going to increase economic growth. Get politicians out of the way and get them out of Elon's way. And I'm not embarrassed to say this. I'm a massive Elon fanboy. He is the greatest human to ever walk this earth. He is doing more to advance humanity, to make life better on Earth, and to enable humanity to go into space, to cure brain disease, to solve traffic problems. There's so many, to clean the air and clean the water. He's doing so much on all these fronts, and I'm probably missing stuff. Enable internet access around the world and so on with Starlink. He's doing so much. Why are they fighting him? This is a guy where you see what he's doing, and what government officials should be doing is, God, this guy's making life better for everyone. How do I help this guy? How can we help this guy do more? How can we get government out of his way? That is what government officials should be doing when it comes to Elon Musk. And frankly, I think it should be for most entrepreneurs. If you see an entrepreneur is doing something and they're making a difference and they're doing something positive, like I look at ChatGPT and I'm like, wow, this is pretty amazing. Government should be getting out of the way. This is something that's making life better for humanity. I think ChatGPT is amazing. I think Anthropic's Claude is amazing. I think Midjourney and DALL-E are amazing. Llama, Bard's kind of okay, but still, I think these things are really amazing, and we're seeing game-changing innovation that is already making life better for humanity, and is going to make life better and better for humanity. Start the Texas Institute of Technology and Science. Oh dear Lord, Mind Lifestyle says go look at studies done where UBI was tested. I've read more about UBI than you have. UBI, all the stuff on UBI is like small scale experiments that don't really show anything. Here's the cold hard reality. The fundamentals, I'm gonna go rant on UBI for a second, and this is something that Elon supports. So I'm a fanboy, but I don't agree with everything he says. Universal basic income is basically to each according to his need. That is pure Marxism. UBI is Marxist. I don't support Marxism. It's quickly followed by from each according to his ability. If you think that you're going to do to each according to his need without getting the from each according to his ability, you aren't paying attention to the way these things work. AI is a bit sticky. Good wage jobs do get erased. Oh, well. Okay, listen, as far as Look, any technological improvement, what Elon's doing with Tesla, with self-driving might eliminate driving jobs. The history of technology is the more technology advances, yes, old jobs get wiped out, old jobs that were necessary get wiped out, and new jobs get created, and more and better jobs are created. And that has been consistent across 250 plus years of technological change. 207, from roughly 1750 to 2020, so 270 years. We have seen new technology, new technology, new technology. Old jobs are wiped out, agriculture jobs wiped out, more and better jobs created. And we can't, because we can't see the new jobs in advance, we only see the jobs we think are going to get eliminated. And the jobs that we think are going to get eliminated aren't always eliminated. Bank teller jobs doubled when ATMs came out. But that's not really the point. The point is that the technology increases the productivity of labor and the productivity of capital. It's a massive boost to economic growth. The AI is a boost to both productivity of labor and productivity of capital. And we're going to see a massive game change. Abundance, as people call it. We're going to see a lot more productivity. BB says stream is broke. I don't think the stream is broke. It might be you. Richard Press says Elon needs to stop making political comments, stop being so controversial. No, Elon needs to speak his mind. And more people should speak their mind. The idea that people need to stop saying what they believe is nonsense. If Elon has an opinion on politics, he should say it. And if you don't like what he says, then disagree with him on politics. That doesn't change what he's doing that's good everywhere else. If you can disagree with him on politics when he says something about wokeism, and you can still recognize the cars are better than other cars, and FSD is going to save lives, and Boring Company is going to save lives, and these things are going to improve transportation for everyone, and SpaceX is making life better. You can disagree with him on politics and still recognize that the things he's doing are good. If people are so angry about what he says politically, then the problem is them, not Elon. ChatGPT right now is a writing tool. The only people in Hollywood fearing it are the bad writers. I think there's also a danger with all the increased AI writing of sort of like a signal to noise ratio problem. There's going to be a huge amount of AI generated content, and how do you figure out which content is worth reading? I mean, I'm working on a novel right now. I'm using ChatGPT, Anthropic, Grammarly, and maybe at least one other AI at some point to improve my novel, but we'll see. The problem either Ford and CATL is that CATL is so much the senior party. With Tesla, the balance power is equal or reversed. I don't know. That's going too deep into the woods. People don't hate for Elon for reasons. It's always undefined emotions. Well, it's propaganda, right? I mean, there's this propaganda machine that has been amped up to bash Elon. They're just bashing Elon and bashing Elon and bashing Elon. And whether it's the Washington Post or the Wall Street Journal recently kind of defended Elon a little bit. But over the long haul, a lot of these mainstream media outlets have been bashing Elon left, right, and center. The ferryman gave way to horse-drawn hackney carriage drivers, then combustion engine hackney carriage drivers to rideshare, then robotaxi. Yes, it's evolution of society, tech, and life. Movies suck anyway. I don't really watch movies anymore. Yeah, and by the way, please follow me on X. It's WR4NYGov. I'll put it in the chat. I'm on X at WR4NYGOV. Please follow me on X there. That's where I spend most of my time these days when I'm active online. Humanity can do better by innovating and creating and replacing redundant systems. I can tell you that if you not get out of survival mode, you cannot contribute, but you can be exploited. I don't know, that sounds kind of Marxist. Elon cares about money and value because he can command resources and continue to create value and advance those stated goals. Thank God he has goals. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, when you look at a lot of other businesses out there, what are their long-term goals to make life better for humanity? Meta wants to create like this metaverse that we can all like have our avatars wandering around. I don't hate it, but is that really a game changer for humanity? Elon challenges the system he doesn't obey. Exactly. I'd give him 1% GDP if I was President Green. The US government takes way more than 1% of GDP. Oh, if you were president, you would give him 1% of GDP. Okay. He needs to double the stock force. So the stock price, let's just talk really quickly about the stock price. The stock price is going to fluctuate. I just was listening to a space on X earlier today, and this one guy was saying, well, the market usually sees these things coming. No, it doesn't. The market, and I give credit to Alexandra Mertz, Tesla boomer mama. I don't always agree with her. I have some battles with her, but I think she responded to that pretty well, saying the market didn't see Apple in 2012, and the market didn't see Apple in 2015. By the way, I saw Amazon in 2013. I didn't wait for 2015 to see Amazon. I saw it in 2013. The market didn't see Tesla either. You think they hate Elon Musk now, which he has $1 trillion in his bank account? Oh, wait until he has $1 trillion in his bank account. Yeah, Elon is going to be the world's first multi-trillionaire, not just trillionaire. Jim Whitehead, I love Jim Whitehead. Every Marxist I met in real life was a power-hungry person looking for an excuse to steal my wealth. To steal others' wealth, anyway. Yeah, they want to steal other people's wealth. Is there another country that bashes its geniuses as much as the U.S.? I don't know. I don't know. I only admitted Marxists in university. Yeah, no, there's a lot of people who have underlying Marxist tendencies in the way they think and the way they talk, and they don't see it. And when you point it out to them, they get angry. We are barraged with propaganda. And the thing about X is sort of like it's if you're looking for an antidote to propaganda, you may think that propaganda affects other people. The reality is that propaganda affects all of us. And one of the ways to give yourself an antidote to propaganda is expose yourself to other viewpoints and give them due consideration. So a really good example, and I don't love Noam Chomsky lately, but Noam Chomsky is a, left-wing voice. But he says some things that are pretty powerfully true. His criticism of mainstream media from decades ago is still true today, and even more so true. There's a lot. It's important to listen to voices of people you disagree with, not just people who are saying the same things that you're hearing. You want to hear other voices. And unfortunately, it's really hard to separate out what's good and what's not good, and you have to use your brain. You have to use critical thinking. That's one of my other shirts, but I'm wearing the Cybertruck shirt from elonbits.com right now, but the discriminate cogitandi is Latin for critical thinking. That's a good one. So about the stock, like the conversation was about FSD and bot. And there's this video of bot, like why didn't that move the stock? It's because Wall Street doesn't see these things. And then there was a guy named Emmett in the space, Emmett Thompson. I love Emmett. Emmett is like, Tesla's going to be mass producing bot at 10,000 units a year. It's like, no, Tesla's going to be producing 10 million bots a year, maybe 100 million bots a year. But Wall Street doesn't see that. Most people don't see that. I'll say this. Let's suppose the bot is good enough that the top 10% of the world decides to buy a bot. That's 800 million bots. At 10 million bots a year, it would take 80 years to supply all that. The market for bot is so huge that if they can deliver a bot that's actually doing meaningful tasks, that will continue to learn and develop the ability to do more tasks over time. I mean, I want one now. I'll pay $25,000 for one now. I might pay $100,000 for one now. Do you think boring can replace standard ground level highways? I think that's not going to happen, but it's a significant will happen. I think boring company can take the place of new highways that you might want to build. You don't need to take the place of existing highways. You need to take the place of the highways that would have been built without boring company. If you can take some of the traffic over the ground level roads that exist, then those ground level roads become better. Over time, it's possible that you no longer need the existing roads. And I think in some cities they might say, all right, no more cars in the inner city, in this area of the city. Because we want to protect pedestrians and we're just going to rely on the tunnels. But by and large, a road between city A and city B, there's no reason to get rid of that road, right? You just add additional lanes of traffic underground if you need them. That bot video is being noticed. I think the bot video is just a hint of the future. Mind life stuff. I was just older than Elon. I was born 100 kilometers. I know the history and the time. He is the way he is because of what he wrote as his contract as a kid. Same as you and me. I don't know. Warren is safe from Marxism. I feel like most of Europe will be hard to own property in 20 years. I don't want to start building for MB. Yeah, I personally do not own. I don't own any real estate at the moment. I own stock. I don't plan on buying real estate anytime soon. Just a hint. I'm currently in Japan. I'm thinking about moving to India. That's a whole long story in of itself for another video for another day. Pune, India. You may find me in Pune, India in a few months. Do you have a favorite Elon Musk company project you are most excited about? From Will Nurse. Well, I'm excited about all of them. For different reasons, I'm excited about different ones. The one that I think most people don't appreciate is the Boring Company. The Boring, it's an underground thing. It's flying under the radar. Boring Company is going to be a game changer for humanity, for life on Earth. It may eventually be a game changer for life on Mars and on the moon. It may be that tunneling on Mars and the moon is going to make a lot of sense. I'm not sure about that. I think you can do airtight tunnels, so there may be a value in having tunnels on Mars in particular, and the moon less important, but still important. But on Earth, I see hundreds of thousands of miles of tunnel. I see tunnels under the Bering Strait, a four tunnel system under the Bering Strait, 2 tunnels for cargo. and 2 tunnels for passenger travel, and you eliminate all trans-Pacific cargo shipping and all trans-Pacific air travel, replace it with something that's more efficient, faster, more convenient, safer, and cleaner and better for the environment. That's something that is massively underappreciated. We need to stop fighting with the Russians and start working with the Chinese and the Russians to make we have a choice as humanity. This gets a lot of people mad. We have a choice as humanity. We can continue having old men send young men to die and fighting over a limited amount of land and who controls land on Earth. Or we can start saying, hey, let's partner with China. Let's partner with Russia. Let's work together. How can we make life better for everybody? Let's recognize we have our little disputes, but let's stop fighting about them. We can have conversations about them. We can resolve them with this diplomacy. Let's stop trying to resolve these disputes with weapons and with sanctions. Let's stick with talk. Let's try to persuade each other this is the way forward. And instead of having weapons as the way we resolve disputes, let's talk and accept that we're not going to be able to change their behavior with words or weapons, but maybe we can persuade them at some point. But if we work with China and Russia, we can do a boring company tunnel system under the Bering Strait, through Russia to China, and through that, you can connect North and South America to Asia and Europe. There's like 3 billion people in China and India, another billion plus people, probably more than 1 billion plus people on the Asian and European and Africa. We can basically connect almost the entire world with tunnel systems that will reduce pollution, increase speed, increase convenience, lower costs, massively cleaner for the environment. That's an example of how everybody could work together if we could stop fighting over this piece of land. If we could stop fighting over this piece of land right here, if the United States would stop trying to advance its military alliances into in the face of Russia and China, if the United States would stop talking about war with Russia and China, if we could just accept the cold hard reality that China's economy is growing faster than ours, and we have to accept that along with that comes China has more. You might not like it. You might say that's not fair. That's wrong. China's the bullies. You can say they're the bad guys. I think Washington, D.C. is the greatest threat to humanity on Earth. Are you telling me the people who run Washington, D.C. are the good guys? Do you really believe that Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi and Lindsey Graham are the good guys? Do you really believe that? Do you really believe they're the good guys? I don't. I don't think the people who run our country are the good guys. I'm not saying the other guys are the good guys. I'm just saying let's accept reality. The people who run our government aren't the good guys either. And all you have to do is look at the history of the Vietnam War and say, you know what? The Democratic Party celebrates Lyndon Johnson. He was a war criminal. Killed 3 million people for no good reason. Democratic Party still celebrates a war criminal. Mind life stuff. Talk is great. I've been in China 4 years now. Efficiency is on another level here. There's no war talk here ever. Cooperation is how they do things. So yeah, there's the boring company. Somebody asked me about which of his companies I love. So obviously Neuralink is a game changer, is a real game changer for humanity in that you take people who are broken and you can fix them. You can fix brain disease, you can fix spinal cord problems, and there's a whole bunch of other things you may be able to do with Neuralink that just game changers. I just had my first good night's sleep in like that I can remember. I got tired last night. I had a stressful day yesterday. I went out, had some sake and some yakitori and some other stuff at a place nearby, and I got home and crashed. I fell asleep early and I slept till I fell asleep, I don't know, like 10 p.m. and I slept till like 7 a.m., which is like amazing for me because I usually get 5 hours of sleep. So I'm pumped about that. I'm pumped walking around Japan and seeing how much infrastructure they have. People talk about high-speed rail. That's not the issue. The issue is that Japan invested in infrastructure in so many ways over the last 70 years. And some of their infrastructure investments were bad, but a lot of their infrastructure investments were good. The United States has burned money like crazy, and not necessarily in a good way. So Neuralink, game changer for humanity in terms of curing all kinds of diseases and eventually enabling healthy humans to do more. Right? SpaceX, I think, is the obvious game changer because it gets us to space. I mean, if anything changes the future of humanity, it's Boring Company makes life better on Earth. Tesla makes life better on Earth. SpaceX expands humanity off the planet, and Neuralink expands human consciousness. And then XAI, Elon's newest company, is going to expand our ability to understand the universe. Nihon no joshi o mo mitsuketa. So Jeff Harrison asks if I found a Japanese woman yet. I've had a couple of nice conversations with a couple of Japanese women, but I have not found anything close to a date or a girlfriend yet of any meaningful scale. Mind Life stuff. Mind Life stuff. Where in China do you think I should go? I thought about. I might go to Shanghai. I might actually visit Shanghai. What do you think of potential exploitation in the conspiracy theory scene that they want Neuralink to delete disobeying people by pressing a button remotely? I like creepy stories like that. I think there's a risk that some of these technologies could be used if they fall into the wrong hands to take more power over our lives. So if you live off the robotaxi network and all of a sudden it's decided that you can't access the robotaxi network anymore and it's based on a social credit system, that's not great. If it's based on Tesla runs a robotaxi network and you keep littering the cars and you keep damaging the cars and you refuse to pay for the damage that you cause, well, then you shouldn't be allowed to ride in the robotaxi network. But if it's based on you said something I don't like on the X platform and therefore you can't get a ride, that's a problem. And it is a danger that that kind of control will happen. I think long term we're going to see competing robotaxi networks. When do you think Tesla will deploy the bot at scale internally? I think that's actually misunderstanding. I don't think there's enough room at Tesla internally for bot to scale meaningfully. I think scaling Tesla bot is millions of bots, and at most Tesla could use 10,000, 100,000 bots in its factories. So I think people talking about bot as being important to Tesla factories is missing where bot really matters. Where bot really matters is if it enhances human productivity. If I can have the bot doing work around my house, if I can have the bot doing tasks for me, then it frees me up to do more important things. And if 10% of humanity can afford a bot to do these things for it, that's 800 million bots. At 10 million units a year, it would take 80 years to supply that demand. I think it may be that everyone in that the ratio of bots to humans is 1-to-1, which would mean 8 billion bots. And if you made 100 million bots a year, it would still take 80 years to get. And then, of course, they're going to wear out. So the market for bots is endless if the bots become productive. If they enhance human productivity, they make your life better. If they make an employer's life better, game changer for humanity. Elango says actuator designed to be finalized by November, so after mass production of Optimus starting early next year. Not finalized. They're going to have a next generation of the hardware for bot, and they'll start producing that in higher volume. And then what they'll learn from that will lead to another generation of hardware for bot, and then another expansion in manufacturing. Jim Whitehead, great question. We're going off on a tangent here. How do Japanese people date seriously looking for marriage? Do they use dating services? There are dating apps. There are matchmaking services. I think the standard way that Japanese people date is they go on a few low intensity dates. And at some point, a guy says to a woman, hey, I want you to be my girlfriend. Called kokuhaku in Japanese culture. And if he says, I want you to be my girlfriend, and she says yes, they become serious. And that purpose of kokuhaku and the purpose of that dating seriously is to decide, are we going to marry each other? Are we going to have kids together? That is the standard way it works in Japan. I think dating apps are a smaller percentage of dates in Japan, like maybe 20%, where in America it might be much higher. I have Mind Life stuff. I have thought about visiting Shanghai, but it's not a high priority for me. I think that my future is probably in India, potentially Malaysia. We'll see. I'm planning a trip in late November to Singapore. I'm going to be if you don't follow him already, there's a YouTuber in Singapore named Darren Yoong, Yoong. I'm going to be visiting Darren Yoong. I'm going to be visiting Malaysia. There's a city called Johor Bahru that's right outside Singapore. I'm going to be visiting that city. And then I'm going to visit Pune in India. And I think I may be moving to India to start up the podcar in India rather than Japan. Undecided. I'm still hopeful that Japan works out. But I'm going to take a look at Pune. Pune has a lot of the same benefits that I found in Nagoya, Japan, but costs are lower. And I think the regulatory burden, the bureaucratic hurdles may be less in India than they are in Japan. Maybe you need to pay some lady to help you find dates are really good. I actually did contact a matchmaking service in Japan, and they said no, because my age target is I want to get married, I want to have kids, and the woman has to be under 35, and I'm 57, and the matchmaking service said they don't think they could match me with somebody under 35. And I've had that's the same thing from American matchmaking services. But I meet Japanese women out in the wild, and they don't necessarily know how old I am because white people all look alike to them. We all, and it's a joke, but it's true. Um, what about Philippines? I don't think Philippines has the technological sophistication of a place like Pune for developing the pod car. The reason I mentioned Johor Bahru is because it's right next to Singapore. I don't know if I'm going to go anywhere else in Malaysia. We'll see. I'm only going to be in Malaysia for Singapore and Malaysia for a few days, then I'm going to go to India for 2 weeks or longer, maybe. We'll see. I have to leave Japan in late November because my 90 days is up. So that's why I'm leaving. It's not like I'm leaving Japan because Japan is a problem. I have a 90-day window, and I do not expect to have a visa by the end of that 90-day window, so I need somewhere else to go, and I could go back to America, but that would not be moving forward. Elango, please email me, wredlick@gmail.com. I'm going to put my email in the chat, Elango. What I need right now, I'm not necessarily looking for manufacturing help, but I'm happy to talk to people. I'm looking for young engineers. In Japan, I was planning to hire, I am still planning to hire university students, university engineers. I have a meeting tomorrow with some university engineering students. The idea would be to hire them as part-time workers to help build prototypes. But the cost of hiring full-time engineers in India is less than hiring part-time students as engineers in Japan. And the cost of hiring part-time students as engineers in Japan is less than the cost of hiring students in America. Yeah. So the point there, Lang F. Tan, is since we all look alike, if I meet an American woman who's 30 years old, she can immediately sense I'm a lot older than her. A Japanese woman, her first impression isn't older, it's foreign. It's white guy. The age they'll notice the age at some point, but it's not the first thing they notice about me. The first thing an American young woman notices about me is my age. Yeah, I'm not. I think my odds are better and the other thing, by the way, the other thing about going to India is India. Lots of people speak English, and I'm working on my Japanese. I work hard on my Japanese, but it's a big hurdle. And between regulatory hurdles, bureaucratic hurdles, cost of living, cost of doing business in Japan may be just that much higher than cost of doing a business in India. And really, India is a better target market for what I want to build than Japan. So yeah, I'm happy to meet with people. I expect to be in Pune in December, early December, and I'm already meeting up with at least one friend on X. And I'll probably meet up with more. So, all right. So I think I finished the rant about Elon. We're talking about other topics now that aren't really necessary for the rant. The key point here that I want to leave people with is that Elon is doing things that are game-changing, positive for humanity, and we need politicians to support that. And when you see politicians opposing Elon and criticizing Elon, what you are seeing is people who are not interested in the future of humanity. They are interested in their own special interests. They're interested in corruption. They're interested in their family. It is someone who's looking, it's really straightforward. And I would love to debate, I'll debate anybody about this. You take somebody who's criticizing Elon. What are they criticizing him about? Is what they're doing focused on improving the long-term future of humanity, or are they focused on some short-term issue, which is often due to corruption? I think anytime you see it, with Biden, you can see, what's Biden doing? He's backing the United Auto Workers. What's the greatest threat to United Auto Workers? Tesla. Well, what's more important? Making transportation safer, cheaper, and cleaner, or making sure auto workers can make $200,000 a year for 32 hours of work a week? Which is a long-term goal for humanity and which is a short-term goal for a special interest? I don't think that's a question. I think there's an obvious answer to that. This idea that it's about workers, look, the consumers need cheaper transportation. They need safer transportation. And auto workers for Tesla make more money than United Auto Workers make without having a union, especially when you count the stock. He is a threat to authority, exactly. I believe that there's a lot of English spoken in Malaysia as well, especially near Singapore. So I think that that's a positive. Sir Brian the Rogue, dating services won't provide you with young women. Poor thing. I'm not asking dating services to provide me with young women. I'm asking dating services to help me arrange dates. And not dating services, rather, but matchmaking services, like women who want to get married and have kids would ideally like to meet men who want to get married and have kids. And I'm a man who wants to get married and have kids. So, and women generally want a man who's financially secure. And I am financially secure. So, and I'm 6 feet tall, in great shape. I can cook. I do laundry. I clean. I have free time. I have a lot to offer a woman. Maybe debate an Elon hater on live would be good content and community work. It would be good, but it's really hard to find an Elon hater who's willing to have that conversation. They're a lot. If you look on X, a lot of the Elon haters, the accounts that are prominent Tesla Q accounts, they're anonymous. I actually met with one of them, and he asked me, and I agreed. I'm not exposing his real name, right? Gordon Johnson I can't get Gordon Johnson blocked me on X, so I don't think I'm going to get him on. But the problem with Gordon Johnson is you can't have an honest conversation with Gordon because Gordon plays all kinds of debating game tricks where he just talks and talks and talks and talks and talks and talks, and he makes 100 bullshit points. And you want to go back and correct point number 2, but he's already on point number 17 before you even get close to speaking. So he doesn't have genuine conversations. So it's really hard to do that. I was annoyed. I saw that on Spaces, that one of the Spaces on X today, they brought the Tesla Spaces, they brought Gordon Johnson up. And you can't have an honest conversation with Gordon Johnson because he's not engaged in a genuine civil conversation. He plays his games. It's called what is it called? The Gish something or other, Gish Gallop. It's a style of debating that's intentionally not really conversational. Elon took me from having a few thousand left. This is from Jim. Took me from having a few thousand left after getting wiped out in the Great Recession to recovering and getting near to a Tesla millionaire. What are you most excited about for 2024 for Tesla? What I'm most excited about in 2024 for Tesla? Well, short term, I would consider 2024 short term. So Cybertruck is one big one. Cybertruck t-shirt at elonbits.com. And self-driving crossing the threshold. I think self-driving, I've been optimistic about FSD before. I continue to be optimistic. I think FSD crossing the threshold where you no longer have nags, that you'll still have to sit in the driver's seat and be ready to take over, and you won't be able to get in the back seat and let the car drive, but you'll be able to look at your phone. You'll be able to be distracted. It's not going to prompt you to touch the wheel. That's a game changer for FSD. It's possible it gets to the point where you can sit in the back seat, or you don't need a person in the car by the end of 2024. It's possible. I mean, with the increase in computing power that Tesla is developing, the improvements in data, the improvements in their approach with version 12, it's possible it crosses the full threshold before the end of the year. So that's a big one for Tesla. I think the growth of Tesla Energy, we'll see a mega factory built, a mega pack factory in Shanghai, probably built and running and operating and delivering product by the end of 2024. I think that's a game changer. Hopefully interest rates come down, and that will increase demand, the actual purchasing of Tesla cars. That will increase deployment of solar, not just Tesla solar, but other solar. I think those are big. Thank you, Lang Tan. I know I'm a great catch. It's just, hard. I had a nice conversation with one woman yesterday, had a nice conversation with another woman the other day. I'm going to ask them if they want to do language exchange, which is a popular thing in Japan, where I will work on your English for half an hour, work on my Japanese for a half hour. That's a popular thing. No woman with no eggs, with no nags. Sure, I don't mind the nags from a woman. I don't know who's paying Gordon Johnson. So Optimus, I think it's possible that we see bigger leaps with Optimus than I expect. Do we see Optimus going into manufacturing in 2024? I think that's probably a little premature. I want to see it, but I think that's a little premature. Thank you, Mark, for posting that. Gordon Johnson's bear noises seem to come out whenever Bill Gates is shorting Tesla again. Maybe Bill Gates is paying Gordon Johnson. I don't know. I mean, Bill Gates has a long-term short, so short-term noise from someone like Gordon Johnson, I don't think affects things. I would say, the oil industry or the auto industry. Supposedly there's some big connection between Gordon Johnson and General Motors. I don't know the full story behind that. And there's a great guy's name's Albert Marinos or something like that. Like Alexandros Marinos has a great thread on X today or yesterday, depending on where you are in the world, breaking down Gordon Johnson's history. And there's a lot of negatives in Gordon Johnson's histories that he doesn't want to talk about. All right. So again, you're either supporting Elon or you're doing something wrong, and you're potentially doing something evil. Am I open to adopting? No. No, I am open to surrogacy. But I believe in the theory of evolution. We're all playing an evolution game. The more children you have, and more important, the more grandchildren you have, the more you're winning the evolution game. That's the game that all our ancestors played from the beginning of time. So I'm playing the evolution game. I want to have my own kids. If I was married and I had 3 kids and my wife said, "Hey, I want to adopt another kid," okay. But I think the real focus is having your own children. That's the game. We push to spread our genes. I have considered surrogacy. There's the joke about surrogacy. Yeah, your numbers are about right. My joke about surrogacy is that surrogacy costs like $100,000, but a wife costs like $1 million. So seems like surrogacy is a no-brainer. I haven't heard Elon criticize Republicans lately. Elon criticizes Trump. What are you talking about? Elon's criticized Trump. He's the king Republican, and Elon criticizes him. What are you talking about? He's criticized Mitch McConnell. He's criticized, what's the guy? There's the guy in Alabama, Shelby or something like that, who's been fighting against SpaceX. He criticizes him. Congratulations, Matt Burns. Okay, so thanks everybody so much for watching. I got to hit the gym, build up this physique. I actually had somebody tell me yesterday that my arms look strong, my muscles. I was at the yakitori place, and this guy said my arm looked big. So I'm working on it. Today is arm day. Today is upper body push day. So